It's from the ginkgo cave. The queen is calling us. It's finally time. We're at war with humans. Let's go respond to the queen's summons. He will lead us to defeat the king of men. Here cloud just so wide La and Ra. Tran Hung is in the city. I've seen it fly to the top. 10 goodness through that window to see the cloud. I have absolutely no idea what it is. The wall is in the back. He immediately explained. That's the Prince of Heaven. It represents a new lord who wants to be born. I want to break the rules of this world. 10 good listening to it is even more vague. It means Sao. It means that the queen in the forest wants to go further. She doesn't just want to stop here. The next day at Chu Tuk Tower in Fu Than Ha Dong Highway. This young man is one of the 4 statues of the court. Uncle Chu is quiet. He was drinking tea and talking to the person next to him. That's the Prince of Heaven. People who hear that are hard to understand. Sir, what should we do now? In the light of day. Let's investigate the source of this. The Kier immediately accepted. The order nods away inside the East Gate A. After listening to Tran Hung, I was startled to ask again. Are you going to find the queen? Why is this really dangerous? Chen looked at him and replied, because everything goes too far, compared to our imagination. So we're going to have a look. The Pope still wants to say something, but Tran Hung quickly cut in. With the tons. After the resurrection from the grave, there is no threat. By the fact that a queen has the spirit of a prince. Not to mention in South Africa, the balance between air and air no longer exists. That makes the monsters. Can casually act. Monster. If we don't form a group of martial arts masters in time, destroy this queen, then a great flood engulfed in disaster. The monster is waiting for us. When I heard him, I was afraid of sweating. I don't know what to say. To move the scene to the first love of the ginkgo. At this point, the injury has completely recovered. It doesn't stop screaming and laughing. Ha ha ha, we are stronger. I'll tell you the damned martial artist's hand. The king sitting on top looked at it and was pleased to nod. A moment later, she spoke up. You're lucky. That martial artist has pointed your 5 points. That 5 dead spot, it can easily kill a normal person. But I'm sorry to be useless to a monster like you. He even helps you. Activating potential in the body as well. Your strength is probably at B level by now. If you're lucky, after a while, it can go up to level A. The frog next to you is speaking again. When the queen saw him calling her, she asked him, What's wrong? Sao split love immediately. Quick report. The residents of the surrounding areas have all been evicted. The queen nodded when she heard. Good for you and the devil for the next 3 days. Come to the east to see the situation. The first fisherman is also excited to speak up right now. The queen wants to go to the east. Please allow me to come with you. I want to see that martial artist again. The queen looked at him laughing. Even if I refuse, you will go there. Right? We allow, but we must not kill civilians. The fisherman loved to hear that. He excitedly nodded. Turn HGG after discussing with the wind. Go back and tell the 10 brothers. I want to leave for a few days to deal with my business. 10 when he heard this, he hugged his feet and shouted. Why does master have to go again? Tran Hung rubbed her head laughing. We're just scouting. Just look at the monsters in the east. There's nothing dangerous. 10 is not like you. Now there's worry on your face. Tran Hung glanced at him. If a monster attacks in time, we're gone, don't risk it. Let's bring 10 points to them in the city. Wait for me. 10 good listening then nod yes. Tran Hung laughed. Then leave the inn. When he came out, he was a bit surprised. I can only see that Zoe has been waiting for him ever since. Or Tran Hung went to ask. Have you sent a report? I've sent it to the bar. Transfer the scene to the Ha Nam Van Temple. Letter office. The staff is checking the mail. Then suddenly, I'm startled to see a red axis. This is a letter from the east. That the red represents an extreme emergency. He didn't hesitate. Ring the alarm and call someone. Soon, a guard came in. Then the man sent him a letter. Take this to the tower. Turn the scene to Tran Hung. Now he's out of the city and into the woods. He was just thinking. I had to catch some soldiers for interrogation. I'm glad to know where the queen is. Using the normal way to find. It will take time. On top of a crow tree, three-eyed girls are hanging out. Seeing Tran Hung was very surprising. Oh, isn't this the martial artist from East Asia? Why did he go out into the woods? While he's thinking. Suddenly, Chen Shang disappeared in place. Very quickly, the black crow felt it. Something appeared behind my back. It turns its head. I saw Tran Hung sitting there. He was afraid to react. He was arrested by Tran Hung with his hands. Chen watched it for a while. Then I remembered that I had seen you before. You're also in the market when the buffalo. About yesterday, right? The crow sees the enemy recognize him. The more afraid of sweating out like rain. Chen Shang had a cold face looking at it. Tell me where the queen is. I heard him ask the queen. The crow immediately looked straight ahead. He is not afraid to say out. The world of monsters is very harsh. Without any pity at all. Chen Hung heard him say that his head was empty. Is that what he asked? The crow didn't notice and kept talking. Except for the wise monsters. Most of the other monsters are dominated. Because of hunger. Since they were born. They just want to look around. See if there's any weaker prey and devour them. The loser loses everything. The winner gets stronger. A monster with weak fighting power like me. If you don't wake up to wisdom soon. He also died a long time ago. I keep thinking, the days of my life are hidden. But then, he showed up. The queen has completely changed everything. You don't want a cruel world like before. You make all the monsters subdue. Under your wise wings. He makes rules and regulations. For all the weak lovers like us. Chance of survival. I'll never betray the queen. Chen Hung heard it and used the power of the crow. He was immediately killed by him. Big trouble. Enemies are those who don't compromise easily. Turn the scene to the Chu Duke Tower. It's midnight. Quiet sitting in the room. To hear a subordinate report. Sir, we've found the source of that cloud. Listen to the report. He put the book in his hand and asked where it was. Here casually replied A. Move the scene to the 10 brothers. 2 brothers are eating noodles on the sidewalk right now. I can see your face is sad. The city next door asked. What are you worried about? 10 Goodness did not respond, but turned to stare at it. I didn't pay attention, so let's get it straight. When your master is gone, you should spend time switching the seeds of hell. Let's get it back into combat mode. There's not much time left. If the next time, there are stronger monsters attacking. Who will protect your sister? On the mountain 1, baby girl holding a copper gong. AI giant flag back. The queen told me to go to the mountains. North Mountain Week, South Mountain Week is actively on duty. Suddenly, a stone came from nowhere. through its head. He immediately lost his life on the spot. Chen Hung hid in a nearby bush and whispered 6 names. And then he disappears in one place. He leaves somewhere else. On the frog side, now a loving wolf comes to report something. When he finished listening, he asked again. The mountain patrol boy is dead. The wolf loves to clap his hands and slash the nails. That's right, the frog asked. How many have been killed in the east? 6 have died. There are powerful people watching us. From the darkness. The next day, when I was hiding in the tree, I was a little surprised. Today's mountain patrol is not a monster. That's 5 of you as a team. It seems like they've realized their existence. I'll kill a few more to distract them. It was a chance to meet the queen. On the side of the monster, Baby Frog is with you too. Another monster is looking at the forest map. Through the map, they had clearly seen the Tran Hung scene. Kill the little lovers. Love saw him, and I was startled. That's right, the martial artist who loved the first bull the day before. The wolf next to me asked, should we inform the queen? Frog loves to shake his head. No need. We'll take care of this ourselves. Next, he looked at the man wearing the mask next to him. Son, I want you to send 2 small teams out. Go get this guy and bring him back. When the old man heard that, he nodded. For a long time, he was asking a man. Have you confirmed the level of the enemy? According to initial estimates, they're only about level A+. Listen quietly and whisper. They chose this moment to attack. When the monsters last time had just been suppressed. The reason has just died. Now it's the monsters who brought this prince to ruin. It is true that the first wave has not passed, the next wave has arrived. Think for a moment. He then gave orders to 28-2 to take his position. Get the port ready. The main target is a Kier. If you hear that, put your hands together, and then get ready. The 10 virtues have now returned to the inn to start practicing. You can't stop burning blood right now. Extremely intense, after about an hour of trying. Finally, you also lit the fire of life. After lighting it up, you fall into a strange space. This place is extremely desolate. The dead are like a battlefield. He looked around puzzled and said, this is. There was an immediate response to you. This is an executioner. 10 people turned their heads and looked back. I saw in the middle of the lake a man sitting there. He's got an arrow in his back. He didn't raise his head and kept talking. Hell is the lowest level of hell. It is the place where the 7 losers are exiled. 10 people are going to ask. But the Kier interrupted you, so go. Oh, next time before you get here. Let's practice outside first. He finished talking. The surrounding scene suddenly disappeared. When 10 people woke up, they spat out a sip of fresh blood. You don't care about the blood on your mouth. Lifting his head and glancing at the city. What the hell was that? Move the scene to the long side. Right now, I am watching the soldiers. Displacement port. I haven't seen it yet. He was also a little impatient. It's not over yet. One of the soldiers immediately stood up. We've arranged it. But the exact destination and the energy needed. Not yet. We'll meet the amount of gas needed to move. Let's set the destination within 20 miles. Let me worry about the rest. Tran Hung is currently walking in the forest, suddenly stopped. He glanced behind him and said, my brother has realized. He said he was wearing a Kier mask. Out from behind the tree. There were also a lot of love around immediately. Surround him. My boss wants to see you. Please don't refuse to look at him coldly. If we refuse, then why? The pale head replied. Then we'll break your legs. Then we'll bring you back. Then let's fight. To hear this word of him, the monsters are ready. Where is the battle position? Newspaper love is a reminder. Be careful, this guy's even faster than me. It just finished. A monster was strangled by Tran Hung. The old man when he didn't notice. There's a puff of smoke. Kill one of them before the fight starts. It's really unfortunate. The dung beetle in the back is extremely angry. It's now covered in a patch of Venus. Tran Hung looked at the monsters around the aesthetic. None of them are too strong. Maybe I just need to pay attention to the Kier beetle. While he was contemplating, the old man's smoke came close to his body. The old man now continues the practice. White bone sixth consciousness Ven Yen trouble activated. According to his cry, Chen Hung seems to have inhaled that. The old man then looked at the newspaper and waved his finger. When the newspaper saw that, it laughed. Then he led the charge. Brothers, rush on. Don't give him a chance to fight us. But when it hit, there's only one image left. Tran Hung, I didn't know. Demons don't always disappear in places. He stood on the top of the tree watching them think. There's too many daredevils coming forward. I will get hurt if you have to fight a battle with them. There's only one way to fight the gorillas, moving the scene towards the inn. 10 good questions that are hard to understand. I don't know what you mean. 10 goodness, a little angry look at it, don't joke with me. You fed me the seeds of hell. You yourself told me. Is to eat that. It's going to help us increase our power and open up the acupoints. And now you say you know nothing. After a week, we eat that seed. When I hear you speak for a moment, I speak up. I think you've misunderstood. Pay a price to get your power back. It's an immutable premise. No AI can break this premise. Me and you too. Are you asking me now that? Why didn't I warn you? Know about the dangers that lie behind this power. Right. 10 hearing that, the face has a little fire. I said, but at least. You have to tell me what happens next. Let us still prepare. The city responded a little harshly. I repeat, the relationship between you and me is limited. I'm not a babysitter. The reason I help you is because the Queen wants to invade this land. You can't die before we find a new partner. It's just that. On the side of the Lord for a long time now, the transfer port has started. From inside the 4 pillars in the middle of the house, there's electricity coming out. And then they're in the middle, forming a door. Before entering, don't forget to turn around and tell my enemy. Let the East reveal itself to you during my time away. Make it all right. Don't let anything happen. When he finished, he went directly to the door. He just walked in. The door also uses up all its energy. That disappeared in a village near the East. Suddenly, there was a big cloud in the sky. Next, from the inside, a blue light coming down from the sky. He immediately appeared in the village, burned by monsters that threaten the Kier people. In the octopus cave, the queen is sitting on the throne. Suddenly open her eyes immediately. Give orders to the next man. Tell the devil and the devil to meet Ra. Another master has arrived. Tran Hung is hiding on the tree right now, extremely unpleasant body, sweating out like the relentless rain. What the hell is happening to me? Bottom, the monsters are still searching everywhere. Search carefully. That martial artist, he has inhaled Van Yen version of the sun. He can't use all his power. So we can't get away. It's hard to hear them talking. What the hell is the trouble? The fire of life inside. He's suddenly covered in smoke. In his head, endlessly echoing out a monstrous screaming sound. He was in unbearable pain. Suddenly, a dog loves from the outside. Stick your head in the tree. Scream here, then I see him, then he is here. He's actually injured and weakened a lot. Come up here and get him. The monster saw that and immediately looked up. The octopus sighed. Right now, the monsters were summoned by the lady. She looked at them and said another martial artist had come. Based on the fire, his life must be at a public level. Carry with seal. Call the sun and bring his head back. When the frog heard it, he nodded. Yes, your majesty. As soon as he arrived, he went into the village to investigate. After circling the village for a while, then he's extremely difficult to understand. Strangely, the village was burned down. But there's not a single body left behind. The local government was able to move them. This side of the frog loves now. I'm with two other freaks. Riding on the back of a bat, towards the saddle. As he walked, he took the stone heirloom and called Kier the head. My son is right above me, answer me. Son heard that. He went to the open ground and looked up. Queen, we want Theo to attack the martial arts master in Yo-san. Quiet now. Is also staring in the direction of the octopus. At his feet, quickly appeared a battle plan. Then make him the center. Non-stop LAN out around. Very quickly, he could sense it. Tran Hung is fighting monsters. 40 miles southwest. A marshal, he was fighting the fire of life monsters. Not normal. They are poisonous. Tran Hung right now, there is absolutely no way to fight them. A way to fight back. In front of a river, he jumped into hiding. Wait until the newspapers come. I didn't see him. They also looked at the river. Full of doubt. A map of the forest now. 2 teams of monster centaurs is rushing to the saddle. Want to handle him. Tran Hung hiding under the river is extremely worried right now. Die for real, this sound keeps ringing. At this rate, it's really not over. Baby, look at the water for a moment. Then he glanced at the crocodile next to him. You go down and check. When the crocodile heard that, he startled and pointed to himself and asked again, I am angry with you. What else? Only you are the best swimming monster. If you don't rest, I will. I see it's still hesitating. Newspaper just kicked it down. Don't whine, calm down now. Dried fish cry no tears it kicked down. I finally have to bite my teeth. He swam around for a moment and found out, there's a bubble in front of you. He immediately went to the back of the stone and looked. But what emits bubbles is a cloth bag. I can't see the shadow of Tran Hung at all. The crocodile stood there, looking around for a moment. A moment later, it was suddenly attacked by Chen Hung from behind. Broke the necks of the monsters sitting above waiting. Suddenly, the dog came down to the river screaming. Look at the blood, follow the sound of it screaming. Under the river, and a crocodile's head flew out and crashed right into its face. The dog immediately fainted on the spot. Tran Hung is also flying up from the water. Just rushed in. He has a direct right to blow up the newspaper. Move the scene to the side of the saddle. Now the love frogs have come flying bats to the top of their heads. He looked at the group in front of him and spoke softly. 2 level A 1 level B SAO. The frogs don't speak. That quickly jumps down from the back. Leaders of the